So I remembered when I was actually preparing to go into nursing, I had started taking all my courses, my anatomy and physiology. Have already put in time into my prerequisites. I passed my prerequisites, and it was time for me to put my admission forward into school of nursing. And in my head, I started thinking, okay, this is probably going to be my next career. Then somewhere along the way, I changed my mind. And honestly, that was not an easy decision. It was not an easy thing to admit to myself, because when you are an adult, you're trying to rebuild your career. You don't want to keep changing direction. What you want to do is that you want to start thinking, are you sure? Am I sure that what I'm doing is right? You've already spent time on this. Are you changing? Why are you changing again? And that was exactly the conversation I was having with myself. The truth is, I didn't wake up one morning and I suddenly decided that I do not want to do nursing. That was not the situation. I actually have a lot of respect, so much respect for nurses and the work that they do, so much effort. This is not one of those, oh, nursing is bad, social work is better. This is not a conversation. But because this is a conversation because of how I felt. Nursing is a great career for the right person. I just started realizing that maybe I was not that person. When I first considered nursing, a big part of my decision was practical. I was trying to rebuild a career in Canada, and I wanted something sustainable, something stable. I wanted a career where I could clearly see the path in front of me and go to school. You go to school, you qualify, you do your profession, you write your exam, and you get it. I tried to rebuild my career in Canada, and I wanted something stable, something sustainable. I wanted a career where I could clearly see the pathway in front of me. Where you could go to school, you qualify, and you enter the profession straight forward. No any issues. And when you are trying to start again, especially at this age, after moving to a new country, that kind of structure looks very attractive because you are tired of guessing game. You just wanted something to tell you, oh, do A, you get B, do C, you get D, to get to where you're going. So nothing made sense to me on paper, but eventually I had to ask myself different questions. Forget what works on paper, forget what makes sense on paper. Can I actually see myself doing this every day? And that question changed everything, because sometimes we choose career based on outcome. We think about the salary, the stability, the opportunities, the title, and the fact that people say it is in demand. Don't get me wrong, those factors are very valid. But we forget that after all the schooling is finished, you actually have to wake up and do the job. So I started imagining myself 5 years from now. Will I be happy doing this job? Could I see myself waking up every day, genuinely wanting to do nursing? And the more earnest I became with myself, the more I realized that part was not for me. That was an uncomfortable thing to decide, but because I had already invested time, money in that direction. And you know what? You know how as adults we have, once we have invested our money and our time to something, we start telling ourselves and believing to ourselves that, oh well, I've already started this thing, I might as well just finish it. But I had to ask myself, finish what? Finish what exactly? Just because I started something does not mean I have to spend the next 20 years, next 30 years of my life doing it. And around that same time, I kept asking that there are certain things that naturally kept coming back to me. Like people, family, communities, people who struggle, why people struggle, why people have more opportunities and others don't. What happens when someone is going through difficulties, difficult times and doesn't know where to go or who to turn out to, how newcomers can adjust to a new country, how system can either help people or make life harder for them. I started thinking about advocacy, support, those kind of conversations I have always have interest in. And when I started looking deeper into social work, something struck me. So I just, something just started connecting me with it. I remember thinking, oh, maybe this actually makes more sense to me. Not because social work is easier, I have to be very honest. And it's not because social work is not is emotionally draining, emotionally demanding. But again, for the first time in a while, I could actually see the connection between who I am and the things that I care about. Some of the experiences I already have and where I could potentially go with this career. And that was a very important discussion for me at that moment, because I realized something about myself. I have spent a lot of time asking myself, what career should I go into? When maybe the better question should have been, what kind of work already fits into who I am, into the type of person that I am naturally? These are two completely different questions. Sometimes we are so busy looking at the next career that we ignore the clues that have been sitting inside of our lives for years. And social work started feeling less like, oh, let me just pick another program. And it started feeling more like, okay, I can actually understand why, I am doing this. But I am not going to lie to you. Changing direction, still bothers me. There are still some voices that are saying, but you already took those courses. You already spent this money. You already told people you're considering nursing, or you are doing nursing, you are doing this. And then I had to remind myself, the time I spent, prepping for exams, those times were gone. But the most important question is that, have I already invested in nursing? The real question is, knowing what I know now, do I want to keep investing more in nursing? And my question was, no. That doesn't mean the time was wasted. Actually, I think going through that process taught me something very, very important. Sometimes you have to move into one direction before you finally realize it is not your direction. And that is still progress. I think we are sometimes too hard on ourselves when we change our mind, especially we as older people, we as adults. At 20, most people expect you to have figured things out. But at 40, at 20, most people think that, okay, you can still be figuring things out. But at 40 or 45, a lot of people think that you should have mapped out your life. But life doesn't work like that. You can make a decision with the information you have today and learn something tomorrow that changes your mindset. That doesn't automatically mean that your first decision was a mistake. No, it means that you have learned and you are becoming, and you are thinking of so many other things that you could have explored. You took that step and that direction. You learn more about the profession. I learned more about myself, and eventually I had enough information to be able to tell myself, I don't think this is the direction to go. And honestly, I would rather admit that now than wake up 10 years after from now thinking, oh, I knew I wasn't going to do this. I knew this was not for me, but I stayed because I was too scared to start all over again. That scares me more. So now I am going into social work, and no, I am not sitting here pretending that, okay, I know exactly how the story is going to end. Maybe, and that's actually one of the reasons I wanted to start this channel. I don't want to come back in 5 years from now, and when everything has worked out the way I want, God willing, to give the perfect little story about how I changed careers and everything falling into places. No, I want you to see it while I'm actually living it. My career decisions, the moments when I'm confident, and probably the moments when I'm sitting there wondering what on earth I got myself into. And maybe you are watching this because you are in your own version of this situation. Maybe you started a program and you are questioning it, or maybe you have been in the same career for 10 years or 15 years, and deep down, you know you don't want to do this forever. Or maybe you have already spent so much time building one life, that the thought of starting again feels so ridiculous. I understand, and I understand that feeling. And but one question that would really help, or maybe it will help you too, is if nobody was watching you, you didn't have to explain your decision to anybody. If you could just forget about the time you have already invested for 1 second, what would you choose? Not 5 years ago, not what your family think you could choose, not what social media says is making money. What would you choose? For me, that answer became social work. So yes, I gave up nursing for social work. Not because nursing is a bad career, a fantastic career. Not because I think social work is going to be easy. Not because I feel that social work is better than nursing. I changed because I realized, finally, I would rather start with a clear sense of where I am going than keep moving forward, simply because I was afraid to change my mind. And if you are in that place right now, I just want you to know that changing direction does not automatically mean you failed. No. Sometimes changing direction is what happens when you start listening to yourself. You're also starting over, you're changing careers, you're going back to school later in life, or you're simply trying to figure out what your next chapter would look like or should look like. Subscribe, come along. I'm sharing this journey as it happens. The school, the career change, life in Canada in general, money side, the mistakes that I've made, and everything I learned along the way. And I want you to tell me something in the comment section. Have you ever started and down the line in your career path, and then you realize that this actually is not for me? Did you stay or did you change direction? I really need to hear from your story, because I know I cannot be the only one who had to look at a plan and that you're already following and you had to change. If you are also changing careers, going back to school or starting over in life, please subscribe. Come along with me. Tell me in the comments, have you ever changed your mind about a career or that you once thought was right for you? I'll see you in the next video.